Live on me.
We flip the camera right there. Boom. Hey guys. I think we're live. Are we live?
Yeah.
Alright, we're doing it. Okay, this is kind of a new direction that I'm going with this channel. I'm super pumped. After going live on the weekend, sitting in my shop drinking alone with 1,000 people watching me, I just thought, hey, this is kind of fun. Let's do this more often. It saves me a ton of time editing videos and allows me to get way more content out to you guys. So I'm gonna try and go live as often as I can and give you tips throughout the day and just keep the content rolling, and hopefully we all enjoy this. So today we're installing the post that we scribed onto the rocks. The weather was nice, but now it's starting to piss rain and screw everything up. But hey, such is life when you're pushing the limits. So you come over here, take a look at this rock. I can't see it now because the rock's kind of been rained on, but I put epoxy on the rock exactly where the post is going to sit, which seals the surface of the rock, so any moisture that might be in the rock, which isn't a lot, would never be a lot of moisture. Rock isn't nearly as porous as concrete, at least granite and stuff isn't. So the epoxy is an extra fail-safe to make sure that no moisture is going to come through the rock into the base of my post. So I've done that on both boulders. As well as I've taken this spray-on roofing tar and I've sealed the end grain on the bottom of both posts with a heavy coat of this spray-on roof tar. You can get stuff that's like Flex Seal, or this is a Black Knight Roof Repair. It's a spray-on tar. You can get it most any place. So I'm going to put another coat on this one right here. It's just like a spray paint, but it's a heavy-duty tar. So that's going to create a membrane that seals all the end grain from absorbing any moisture that gets on the rock. Preserve the wood, prevent any kind of microorganisms like algae and fungus from attacking the wood. And the fact that it's red cedar, it's already rot resistant wood. So it's about as good a situation as you can get. So I'm going to peel off the tape here. Make sure I don't put tar all over it. Oh yeah, before I install, got some PL Premium. I'm just gonna fill this hole right here with construction adhesive. That'll spread all over the metal rod right here as I force the post down onto it. That'll actually glue it down onto the rod. Alright, so far so good. Do the same with the other one. Grab my buddy Thor. Make sure he's settled down. Okay, now the fun part. Justin's gonna one end of this beam. We're gonna lift this beam up onto these tenons, pound it into place, and celebrate. Which end do you want, Justin?
That end.
That it? Don't slip and fall on your ass like you always do with your boots with no tread. You sure you don't want this end?
No, I'm sure.
You're already skiing on the mud right there.
All right,
Just
all
come
right.
take this end. Alright, now guys, if you have any questions about what's going on here, the way I've set it up is I'll answer your questions. There's lots of comments streaming.
Just, hey, how's it going? Beer, good idea. Let's go for some. Hey, hi, hello from Aussie.
Alright, we got a couple of people watching us. If you have a question, the way I've set it up is you can click on the little message icon at the bottom and do a super chat. And if you really want me to answer your question, if you make a donation, like $1 or a couple of bucks, your question will stay at the top of the list there, so that I can see what you guys want to know about what I'm doing here. So if you're wondering about details and stuff like that, feel free to go in and super chat and ask a question. I'll check the questions at the end and try and go through and answer as many as I can. And if you just want to watch and see what happens, feel free to do that. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Are you on your tenant?
Yeah. You got it?
Okay. Come down and get this sitting down here. Coming right from the side here. Get a nice up close shot of this sexy joint going together. Boom. Looks like it might be rocking a little bit this way. Yeah. No, that actually went about as smoothly as I hoped it would go. Let's check the plug. Really close. Feeling neat. We'll be able to force that around once we get the deck framing on there. That's looking lovely. Let's see the camera for a sec. Boom. Are you guys really bitching and moaning about Trump and Hillary still? Gosh. It's the woodworking channel, guys. Let's just focus on the task at hand here. Obviously I'm moving the staircase. So that's our beam. Now we're gonna frame our deck right on top here. Sorry, I'm just got this brand new gimbal here that I'm using to steady my camera, so it's not some super shaky amateur video stuff. So I gotta suck this joint down a little bit tighter here, but you can see the profile. It's looking pretty sexy. So I've put a coat of oil on these beams. I'll put a second coat on them in place now. They've been burnt. That's what gives them that dark look. And the next step will be to get this all framed out. Frame my deck over from that flashing across the beam. It's going to be 8x14 finished up. So, glad you guys like it. Let's see if we got any questions in the super chat here. No, nobody's giving me any love in the super chat. So now I'm pumped. Get that ugly staircase off there. Frame this thing out. And then down below here, I'm going to be putting a poly plastic on the ground here to divert water away that's coming through the deck. The rain will drop down. It's going to hit this poly that I'll cover in like a pea gravel, and put a whole bunch of nice boulders and stuff all the way around the deck here, so that it looks kind of like a nice Japanese kind of low maintenance gravel, pea gravel and boulder garden kind of going on underneath the deck there. Oh yeah, David Buxa, you're the man. I think you gave me my first super chat. Oh, we got a couple other guys. Smokey Frosty, thank you very much. Fraser Roberts, you guys are studs. Appreciate you guys contributing to this. So you guys have any questions about how I got this done? Now I've got, as you saw, I had tenons on the top of these posts. Dave Greenman, thank you very much. Appreciate your support. So I've got tenons on the top of these posts, 3-inch tenons. I'm going to drill through and peg those with oak pegs. So that'll lock the beam down onto the post really well. And then probably just for weatherproofing, I'm going to caulk these joints right along the side so water can't leach in into that joint there and rot that out. So I'll caulk this. But when you're caulking, you always want to leave a gap, the bottom edge open, so that if water does get in there, it can escape, right? Because a lot of times if you caulk everything right tight and you don't leave a space at the bottom, water gets in there some other way, and then it can't escape because the caulking holds it in there, right? And then before I lay all the framing off the house, whoa, that gimbal just quit on me.
Died.
Okay, we're back. Whoa, trippy technology. All right, so before I lay the framing on this deck here, I'm gonna put a flashing cap over top of this beam with a large, like 2-inch drip edge kind of on an angle. So any water that comes through the deck, sits on top of this beam, it's gonna hit the flashing, and then the flashing will hang past the beam. So the water will drain off and then drip outside of the beam's profile, and it won't run down the side of the beam. So that'll keep the beam dry, add a lot of life to the deck, because obviously that support beam is the key thing. If that rots out, your deck is toast. So you want to keep those supporting posts and timbers as dry as possible. The ideal way to do it would be to put a waterproof deck like vinyl or tile with a membrane underneath it, or a torch-on product, but that's really expensive. Don't have the budget for that this time, so I'm just doing what I can with flashing and just a regular timber deck where the water just drains right through. What tool should I buy first to start woodworking? Well, if it's hand tools, you definitely want to get yourself some chisels. 1 or 2 nice chisels. I recommend the Japanese pull saws that I sell on my Amazon store. They're the best bang for your buck, made by Gyokucho. You can do a lot of joinery with just the hand saws and a couple of chisels and a hand plane if you're on a budget. But as far as machinery is concerned, you got to have a table saw first. Then I would go joiner, planer, bandsaw from there on out. But table saw is priority number 1 for machinery in the shop. Let's see what other questions we got here. Thank you, Craig Albritton. I will keep up the great work. Huntsman, you're a stud. Man, we got all sorts of guys jumping in here. Soldier Spider, thank you very much for your support. Frank Walrus, glad you think I'm talented. Appreciate the encouragement, guys, the props. Chris O'Connor, thank you. Rodjan Hope, thank you. Clinton White, man, there's all sorts of guys jumping in here. This is awesome, guys. I appreciate that. So I'm gonna try and do a live feed like this every day if I got some interesting building and stuff going on. So feel free to turn on your push notifications, which is the little bell icon, and right next to the subscribe button, and then every time I do go live, you'll get a little ping on your cell phone, or it sends you an email or whatever, and that way you know you can join in on the feed. So obviously I can't frame this deck with a camera in my hand, so we're gonna call it good for today. I appreciate you guys jumping in, showing your support. This is gonna be really fun. I'm looking forward to going live as much as possible in the next coming weeks, and be able to just interact with you guys right in the videos. So that's it for today, guys. Say bye, Justin.
See you guys.
What sort of maintenance will the deck need? Yeah, you definitely want to keep a coat of oil on it, usually every 3 years. Sorry, my gimbal just died again. Gonna have to hand hold it. You'll want to have to put a coat of oil on it typically every 3 years. You want to re-oil the deck. Keep it power washed in between. Prevents mold and mildew from growing on the wood, and that's what really decays the wood, is the mold and the mildew. So keeping a deck clean, you know, wood can get wet and wood can dry and get wet and dry for quite a while before it'll actually deteriorate. It's when you let the mildew and the microorganisms start to grow on the wood, that's when it really begins to rot. So keeping your deck just free of dirt, using flashings to cover any kind of joints, like if you're laminating up 2 different layers of 2x material, you know, for a beam, you want to put a flashing on top, or at least that Vicor peel and stick membrane. And that prevents water from penetrating in between the laminations and just sitting there and eventually rotting out the wood, right? So just got to think like a water droplet when you're building a wood deck. Ideally, you don't ever want to put wood structures exposed to the elements, because you're always going to rot them out eventually, you know, 20, 30, 50 years sometimes if you do everything just right. But eventually wood will always rot when it's left in the elements. So the best way to build a wood deck is to put a roof over it, or to not build a wood deck, to build like a stone patio. So in this situation, I didn't really have any other options, just given the access to the building, and so I'm doing a wood deck, and I'll just take care of it as best I can, and hopefully it'll last for 30 to 50 years. So that's the plan. All right, guys, so that's been fun. Before I just stand here sitting at the camera with nothing to say, I'm going to say goodbye. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully I'll get another video out tomorrow. We'll get this deck framed up, so stay tuned for that, and I'll keep you involved in the process as much as I can. Till then, guys, Samurai out.